Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. And welcome to the Detox Health channel. We have a lot more health-focused deep dives planned, so be sure to stick around. We know you want to be in the know about all this stuff, but who has time to go through tons of articles and websites, right?
Oh, right.
That's where we come in. We do all that heavy lifting for you and bring you the key takeaways. Today we're taking a deep dive into something I bet most of you have in your fridge right now, sour cream. We'll be exploring why you might actually want to make it a regular part of your diet.
Okay.
We've got some interesting research you sent over, so let's unpack it. To start things off, could you give us a breakdown of what sour cream actually is?
Sure. Like what's going on at a fundamental level? Well, at its core, sour cream is made by fermenting regular cream with something called lactic acid bacteria.
Wow.
These are basically friendly microorganisms.
I see.
They consume the natural sugars in the cream, and they produce lactic acid in the process. And this is actually what gives sour cream that characteristic rich, slightly tangy flavor that we all know and love, as well as that thick, creamy texture. So because of these qualities, it's incredibly versatile. You see it used as a topping for all sorts of things, from baked potatoes to tacos. It's incorporated into baking to add moisture and tenderness, and it's also used as a thickening agent in sauces and stews.
Right. It's amazing how that little bit of tang can really elevate a dish.
Yeah.
So let's talk nutrition. When we're considering incorporating sour cream into our diets, the first thing that comes to mind for many people is what's in it.
Sure.
What does a typical serving of sour cream look like nutritionally?
Well, a standard serving, which is generally around 2 tablespoons or about 30 grams of regular sour cream, contains about 57 to 59 calories. The majority of those calories come from fat, with around 5.6 to 5.8 grams, about 3 grams of which is saturated fat. Carbohydrate-wise, it's pretty low, about 1.3 grams, including about 1 gram of sugar. And protein is on the lower end, around 0.7 grams per serving.
So not exactly a protein powerhouse.
Not really, no.
Right. What about those vitamins and minerals? Dairy often gets a lot of attention for its micronutrient content.
It does. Sour cream does contain small amounts of several vitamins and minerals. But because the serving size is pretty small, it only contributes about 1 to 4% of your daily value for things like calcium, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, vitamin A, B2, which is riboflavin, B12, and choline. One thing to consider is how this compares to other dairy products, like milk or yogurt. They have much higher amounts of protein, carbs, vitamins, and minerals, because they use all parts of the milk. Whereas sour cream is really just made from the cream, which is the fattier part.
It's not really a significant source of any one nutrient?
Not on its own, no.
All right. Now, when I go to the store, I see all kinds of sour cream.
Oh, yeah.
Regular, light, fat-free. What are the main varieties out there?
Well, you hit the main ones. Reduced fat, similar to the regular kind, but with about 38% less fat and fewer calories. Then there's fat-free, which is made from skim milk, and to make up for the lack of fat, they often add food starch and gums to give it that creamy texture. Calorie-wise, significantly lower, like 60% fewer calories.
Wow.
But it might have slightly more carbs from those added ingredients.
I got it.
And then there's light sour cream, which sort of falls in between regular and reduced fat, usually around 10.5% milk fat, kind of a middle ground.
Okay, so there are options depending on your needs.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the potential benefits. Why might someone want to include sour cream in their diet? Are there any health advantages beyond just the taste?
Well, there are a few potential benefits.
Okay.
One thing is its role in helping your body absorb fat-soluble vitamins, vitamins A, D, E, and K. These vitamins actually need fat to be properly absorbed, and since sour cream is mostly fat, adding it to meals with these vitamins could help your body use them better.
Give me an example.
Sure. Say you have a salad with a light vinaigrette, and you want to get the most out of the vitamin K in those leafy greens. A dollop of full-fat sour cream could really boost your absorption.
That makes sense. So it's about smart pairings.
Exactly.
Now, what about probiotics? I know some dairy is associated with probiotics. Does that apply to sour cream?
That's an interesting one. You see, traditionally, sour cream is fermented with lactic acid bacteria, which are a type of probiotic, but most commercial sour cream is pasteurized, and that kills those live bacteria.
Oh, so it's not a reliable source.
Well, hold on. Some brands add live cultures back in, like Nancy's and Green Valley. And of course, you can always make your own sour cream.
Interesting. That way you control the process.
Exactly.
Now, what about people on low-carb diets? Where does sour cream fit in there?
Well, it can actually be a pretty good option. It's relatively low in carbohydrates, which makes it suitable for diets like keto and Atkins. And even though its glycemic index is estimated to be low to moderate, the serving size is so small that the glycemic load is very low.
Meaning?
Meaning it won't spike your blood sugar if you eat a normal amount.
So a little dollop on your chili is fine.
Exactly.
I've also heard some talk about dairy and heart health.
Yeah.
Does sour cream play a role there?
It's complicated. Some studies suggest that fermented dairy might actually be good for your heart, but sour cream isn't fermented as much as yogurt or kefir. So it's not clear if it has the same benefits.
Gotcha.
The general advice is still to choose lower fat options.
So not a heart health superstar.
Probably not.
What about weight management? Any impact there?
There's some research suggesting that dairy could help with weight loss, or at least weight maintenance. When you're watching your calories,
Interesting.
the fat in sour cream can also make you feel full.
So you eat less overall?
Yeah, potentially. But it's important to remember that sour cream is calorie dense, too much, and you could end up gaining weight.
That makes sense. We talked about the vitamins and minerals earlier.
We did. Are there any worth highlighting? Well, the amounts are small. But sour cream does have some calcium and phosphorus.
Good for bones.
Exactly. It also has a bit of vitamin B12, which is important for things like DNA synthesis, red blood cell production, and brain function. And then there's small amounts of vitamins A and E.
Okay. So it contributes a little bit.
It does.
Okay. So we've covered the positives. What about the downsides? Anything to watch out for?
The biggest thing is the saturated fat.
Right.
A lot of the calories in sour cream come from saturated fat. And for some people, eating too much saturated fat can increase their LDL cholesterol.
The bad kind.
Yeah, and that can raise the risk of heart disease. That's why groups like the American Heart Association recommend limiting saturated fat.
Makes sense. So if you're eating a lot of sour cream, you need to be mindful.
Absolutely.
Are there any situations where people should avoid it completely?
Of course. If you have a cow's milk allergy, you can't have sour cream. And people with lactose intolerance might have digestive issues, like nausea, cramps, gas, bloating, and diarrhea if they eat sour cream, although the fermentation process can reduce the lactose a bit.
Interesting.
And of course, if you're vegan or dairy-free, you'll need to steer clear.
Right.
It's also worth mentioning that dairy can interact with some antibiotics.
Oh, that's good to know. So talk to your doctor.
Always a good idea.
You mentioned earlier that it's easy to overeat sour cream.
It is. A few tablespoons here and there can add up.
Especially in dips.
Exactly.
So moderation is key.
It really is.
How can people incorporate it into their diet in a balanced way?
I'd say use it as a garnish or a topping.
Okay.
Maybe once in a while. It can even help you eat more healthy foods, like veggies.
How so?
A little sour cream can make them more appealing. You could use it as a dip or add it to a lentil soup.
Right.
But if you're using it a lot, you need to watch your calories and saturated fat.
So it's all about balance.
Yeah.
You mentioned alternatives. What are some options?
Greek yogurt is a popular one. Similar texture and tang, but higher in protein, and often lower in fat.
Okay.
And for those who can't have dairy, there are dairy-free substitutes made from cashews, soybeans, or coconut oil. Lots of options out there.
So to wrap up, what's the bottom line on sour cream? Is it healthy or not?
Well, it does have some potential nutritional benefits. It can help with the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins.
Right.
And some varieties have probiotics, so it can definitely be part of a healthy diet, especially if you use it in moderation.
Right.
But it's high in saturated fat and calories, so it's best to think of it as a complement to a balanced diet, not a staple.
Okay.
And you can always explore those other varieties, like light or fat-free.
Great advice.
Yeah.
We hope this deep dive has given you a better understanding of sour cream and its place in a healthy diet. Be sure to check out the Detox Health channel for more deep dives. And subscribe for updates. We have plenty more coming your way. Thanks for listening.